This is Matt Hall, and I'm going to be doing a conversion design review for carbyne911.com. In the following review, I'm going to be looking at the following: messaging, copy, and overall user experience. I understand that the goal of this site is to generate B2B leads and to get as many types of people who would be an ideal customer requesting a demo or trying to learn more about the platform. This isn't something that you can buy online. This requires a typical B2B enterprise style sales process. And so I'm going to be using that lens to look at this site and some of the design and messaging decisions made throughout. To begin, I want to refresh this page because part of the way the page loads is an important piece of the user experience. So the first thing that happens when it loads is there's a lot for me to choose what to do. It's not like there's one action that stands out clearly above the rest to indicate what path I need to take through this website. Now, there are very few people who will come to a website the first time and then immediately click on one of these buttons. I think most people will scroll down at least a little bit before either going back up to click, or they may just click one of these buttons. But the problem is, as the page currently exists, there isn't a lot of visual hierarchy. It's not clear to my brain what the most important thing is, and everything is competing for my attention. For example, you see the background here, how I had lots of lines, lots of data points, a lot of movement. This movement immediately draws my eye to what's happening in the video. So I'm kind of watching the video, looking past the text, because I want to see what's happening in the video behind it. These lines here also make it very difficult. We've got a lined button, a button that just shows the outline and doesn't show the fill until you hover. Well, that actually competes visually with some of the lines in the background. So I would recommend taking some different approach, maybe using a slightly different video, or maybe using a static image and not using a video at all. I understand that part of what you're trying to do is have a kind of a whiz-bang experience for individuals who may come to this site and are looking for a high-tech solution. You want to look high-tech. You want to feel high-tech. However, you don't want to look and feel high-tech at the expense of visual hierarchy. So I would recommend making this button here probably a bright color, maybe this red. Let's see, let's take a look at this red and see what happens if we make it red. Let's close that. And we've got the underline. Here we go. Okay, and then here, we're going to inspect it. Button. And this background, this color. Okay, so you can see just by changing the color of the button, it stands out so much more. And we're now signaling to the user, I want to request a demo. This little bit of color immediately changes the visual hierarchy so that, all this stuff blends into the background. But that's okay because we really want them to request a demo. And we want to put that thought in their mind so that as they're going through this entire page, they are seeing or they're thinking, request a demo. That's what I'm supposed to do. The visual hierarchy of this subheadline, I would like to see this be a little bit smaller. This today, let's see, is the same font size and weight. It's 50 pixels, 700, 700. This subheadline here is the same font size and weight as the main headline. We need to make this smaller. We need to make sure that there is a visual hierarchy so that this subheadline is less important to the user's eye than what you do, intelligent emergency call management. Carbyne is a leader in public safety. This is, we've got kind of three headlines here. One main headline, one subheadline, and another descriptive type of subheadline. I would recommend getting rid of this here unless it's something you already have printed on all of your t-shirts and vans. I don't think this really does a lot for me. And so if I do this, intelligent emergency call management, Carbyne is a global leader in public safety. Our end-to-end emergency communications ecosystem makes technology-forward cities nations, and communities safer. All right, so if you're a global leader in public safety, I should already know that. So we could do something like Carbyne's end-to-end emergency communications ecosystem makes technology for cities. I think this is much more clear. So we've already gone in just a few small changes to make the homepage experience much more clear without really having to change the design very much. The next challenge with design hierarchy that I see is that you have this announcement bar here. This announcement bar basically blends into the background and doesn't do much for me at all. It's the same. It's very close. It's not the same color. I can see on this expensive monitor that this is not the same color. But if you're talking to somebody who's on a typical monitor used in one of these call centers, like this guy's monitors here, those colors are not going to have enough contrast displayed on that affordable display that they're going to be able to see that these are actually different colors. So I recommend probably getting rid of this entirely. I feel like this doesn't add a lot to the story. I feel like it definitely confuses the user as far as what they're supposed to focus on. I understand why you have to have this cookie announcement, especially since you operate around the world. Perhaps making the background here for this gray or white, some other color, so it stands out and doesn't just have two competing announcement bars. Perhaps having this be something in the corner rather than a bar across the entire bottom could be another option. Or having it on the top, as typical cookie notice at the top. As you scroll down, the delay between the time I scroll and the time the animations appear gives me enough time to get distracted and bored. It's just an extra half second, but you want to be very careful that you are not wasting a single fraction of a second of your user's time. I recommend either making the animations go faster, which you can do. I'm sure there's a setting in whatever builder you used, but transition duration, we're going to make this 1 second. All right. And let's look. See, it pops up much faster, even just taking down from 2 seconds to 1 second. The effect of the animation to impress the user is still there, but it doesn't take so long that the user has a chance to go, oh, there's nothing here. It's just white. I'm going to click over to something else. Okay. Same thing here. This took, let's see how many seconds. Okay. This took way too long to count. Data speed 2000. This probably needs to be data speed at least twice as much. This needs to just flicker. I don't think it needs to be animated at all. You have more animations in the background here. So these background animations are going to be competing visually with this animation here. I would recommend having these just be static numbers they scroll to. You've already got lots of animations here. You don't need to have too many animations because it overwhelms the user and actually makes your site start to look tacky instead of be visually impressive. The testimonials, I recommend breaking these out. I do not recommend ever having testimonials as a slider because people want to see your testimonials. What does this one say? What does this one say? Right? Say, I don't know. I can't see it. Maybe this is the testimonial the user needs to read. Maybe somebody knows Jeff Winborn and can call up Jeff and have a positive conversation about your brand. But this person reading the site will likely never see their buddy Jeff. So I recommend breaking these out. Same with these. This is kind of cool. It's a cool effect. It's neat looking, but you're not here to be neat looking. You're here to sell technology. And so I recommend getting rid of this and just having these quotes listed out. We're not dealing in something. This isn't an iPhone we're selling. It's not something that needs to be overly sexy or flashy. It's just something that needs to be effective. And you already have a nice brand identity. Your site looks modern and clean. And so by breaking this out, you're going to let the quotes speak for themselves rather than force people to sit and wade through all of these quotes. Also, this one is fine, but if I'm, well, I guess it does have a little bit of social proof, but there might be other quotes that you can include that might be more effective than the TechCrunch one. Again, the people that you're speaking to, your audience, doesn't care about TechCrunch as much as you do. You care about TechCrunch a lot because you're looking at, Hacker News, you're looking at TechCrunch, you're looking at all these different sites in the space. The person who's making a decision about upgrading their IT infrastructure might be reading TechCrunch, but they're probably more interested in industry relevant quotes. Let's go look at the other pages on the site. The About Us here, I feels like your visual branding is a little bit different than the homepage. This is very clean and modern. This one looks a little bit dated with the gradient background, and you can see some of the banding here. This background, this is already displayed on a very high quality display, and I can see the banding very clearly. If this display were not as good, the banding would be much more visible. So I recommend finding a different message or a different background here. About Us, your About Us page should actually really be about your audience. So this line here works well. Your story works well. It's got the same problem with slow loading animations, so I do recommend doubling that animation speed. And the challenge, now we're running into some of the same kind of design problems we saw on the homepage. Our awards, let's list these out. Let's show all these awards, list them, make them look impressive. Show us the trophy case. Don't just show us the door to the trophy room, because we can only see one thing at a time in this way. Here, with the vision, the mission, the challenge, I recommend rewriting this in a way that's focused on the user. Rather than saying, our approach is holistic, okay, what's in it for me? The holistic, our customers benefit from our holistic approach because it allows them to solve all of the communication gaps in their 911 response technology. Something like that has some sort of benefit built into it. An analogy that I like to use is, don't sell me the number of springs in a mattress. Sell me the good night's sleep that I'm going to have sleeping on this mattress. Okay, next, our team. I honestly, I had the biggest problem of any page as this page. You have lots of smiling, fresh people in the background here, and it looks fine. But then everyone in these photos, because of the way the photos have been edited, they look like they're Jason Bourne villains. They're standing in the shadows. I may feel like this guy looks very much... oh my goodness, I can't think of the actor's name. Bad joke. But I mean, they look like Hollywood stars, but they look like the villains because they're stepping out of the shadows. Well, you want people you want people to be trustworthy. In a B2B environment, you want to eliminate risk. You remember that the person who's going to be suggesting to hire your company to solve their problem is really trying to impress their boss. They're not presenting this directly to the CEO. They're presenting this to their manager, to the person above them. And they need to have everybody here look trustworthy so that the person recommending you feels smart and looks like the kind of person who makes good decisions and can be promoted or get a Christmas bonus or some sort of other performance type thing. These pictures work so much better for me. And the fact that you have two different styles of photos, even right next to each other, is very distracting. These ones are bright. I feel like the color in these ones, they're very cool. I see a lot of blue. I like how this one's a little bit more warm. I understand that you're trying to kind of match the cool blue here, but I think contrasting and having really warm photos might actually be a better visual contrast. Orange and blue, there's a reason all movie posters are the same color, and that's because our eyes like that combination. I'll pull up this one for the Bourne Identity because this is very similar to what your website currently looks like with those photos. Someone's coming out of the shadows. You're not supposed to trust Jason Bourne. He doesn't even trust himself because he doesn't know who he is in this movie. You want your audience to trust you. So I recommend going through, redoing these photos, retouching them so they're warmer, they're brighter, so the shadow effect is consistent, but so it doesn't obscure any part of the face. Just one more point on this. Whenever tabloids are trying to make a person look bad, they Photoshop a shadow onto that person's face. And so we've been conditioned culturally to be suspicious of people whose faces are partially obscured. It means we can't trust them. It's a biological thing. So I recommend updating that. I thought your careers page was fine. This is perhaps one of the pages where you do want to talk about yourself more, but you can also redo this and talk about the individual that you're trying to attract. Thought these photos were nice. This vibe is completely different than the one that I just saw here. This one, to me, is someone I'd much rather do business with. Some of these get a little more silly than I think you want when presenting your management team, and that's okay. But I think these appeal much more than the other ones. Here, in this page, so this is fine. Slow animations again. Let's speed those up. Your path to next generation 911 begins today. I would, if this is an industry term, keep it. But if this is a term that your team made up, I would reword this as something that everyone's going to understand what it means. This animation here, I think, is actually hurting your page. And the reason is I don't know what story it's telling. So here we have a camera, and we have a bicycle, and we have another camera, and we have some gears in the cloud, and then we have an ambulance. So is this like an automated, is this like a skateboard? I capture somebody on a bike get hurt on my camera, and it automatically tells the cloud to dispatch an ambulance? I don't know. I don't fully understand the story that's being told here. Again, this to me smacks of a design element that was added because it's cute and because it looks good, but when you think about it, it doesn't really mean anything. And with these B2B type pages, what you really want to do is strip away anything that doesn't add to the message you're trying to tell. Anything that adds confusion, especially, or makes the user unsure what you're trying to say, you need to get rid of that, because B2B sales is all about making the person feel safe and rewarding them. No one ever got fired for hiring IBM. That's a classic saying. Well, you want to make the person feel safe about making your decision. And I understand that you're trying to reach technology first or forward-thinking cities, and so you're working with people who are a little ahead on the adoption curve, but you're not working with anybody, I'd imagine, who's going to be outrageously ahead. We're talking a little bit ahead. So let's make sure everything is super clear and feels safe so that when we're presenting this technology to their bosses, they look smart. Here, there's some copy stuff we need to update here. Designed to enhance Carbyne state-of-the-art. The sentence gets cut off. Let's fix that. I'm not sure really the difference between your brands. Internally how Sea Light and Sea Life are different. But if I'm coming to your site for the first time, I don't understand that this is looks like an on-premise or cloud-based full robust installation, and this is just a plugin that's added to something that already exists. Let's make that copy a little more clear. So at a glance, you know whether you're looking for a small enhancement or a plugin, or if you're looking for a full stack. How does it work? Again, I think the copy could be a little more clear here, but this gather the data from where, secure and enhance the data for response. Okay. How is it enhanced? You use AI to make the data more helpful for response or something, and then drive to action. Let's make that again more clear. So share data with first responders or something like that would make it more clear. Try it for yourself. This button is good. This button needs to be more prominent. The schedule a demo button. This is the action you want them to take. So this button here, schedule a demo, probably want to have this throughout your entire site at the bottom of every page. Or better yet, why not just have the form? You have a separate page for request a demo, but that just adds another click. Why not just embed this form at the bottom of every page? So instead of saying try it for yourself and have to click through, oh, hey, try it for yourself. Just fill out this form and we'll schedule a demo with you. And that works, I think, a little better for me. The C-Light page, I think this one is fine. Loading was some of the challenge. Of course, going through the copy, making it about you instead of our is going to be something you want to do. Same thing here with See Live. Oh my goodness, that delay is killing me. This is fine. You know, having this form here is an example of what I'd like to see at the bottom of every page, especially your home page. It's not here. We need to add that form at the bottom of the home page. That's one of the most important things. If they're going to scroll down, hey, let's make this official. Fill out this form and talk to me. And the Lilly Consulting, I was a little confused about how this partnership works. There's a lot of text, and I feel like the visual story could have been more clear. Here, the font is a little difficult to read. And then this is actually not even a font at all. It's just a picture, a screenshot. And the fact that this is smaller and a different style completely threw me off. I just got completely confused. I thought this was a screenshot of your app as I was scrolling down. And then I read closer and realized, oh no, this is a partnership with a consultant. Same thing here. This table needs to be inline. It needs to be coded. It needs to be something that fits your current style, the size and the style of the font, rather than something that looks small and squished. Your developer should be able to fix that. And then this here feels a little underwhelming. There's not a lot going on in this section. Carbyne and you, again, the style is very different than everything else. Is much more light. A lot of visuals throughout your entire page. You've always had the visual element be part of the story that you're telling. And then you come here and there's no visuals at all. And I just feel a little lost and confused. Contact us. This is good. Don't hide the fact you want them to contact you. Don't make this too light. Let's make this bold and stand out. Make it a call to action. Say, we would love to talk to you about how this partnership can benefit your organization. Fill out this form now, making it clear. Our partners, I thought this was fine. This is a low resolution picture. This needs to be updated with a high resolution version so it doesn't look pixely and crunchy. That may not be something that a lot of people notice, but it's something that their brains noticed, and it makes them feel like it's a little low quality. Other partners, this is fine. And then again, having a form at the bottom of this page. Your blog, something that I can see is that we don't have excerpts set. Excerpts are in WordPress. Excerpts let you control what the short little part is. I notice you are using WordPress for your site. You'll see. Let me go to my own blog as an example, and you'll see what I've done on my blog is I've edited the excerpts so that they always end at the end of a sentence, so that they don't get cut away. So here it cuts off mid-sentence, and also they're a little too long. I would recommend adding an excerpt, and you can do this in WordPress. There's a little button that says more, and I'll just show it off right here. And again. Okay, so if I click here and I go to a site and I click edit post, I can control where my excerpt is with this button right here. It says insert read more tag. By clicking it, I choose where this more comes in, and that's what my excerpt is. So I recommend doing that for all of your blog posts, being very deliberate about that. Otherwise, your blog is fine. There we go. Announcements, same thing with the excerpts here. It looks like your entire press release was copied and pasted into here. You don't need to have, when you're putting your press releases online, you don't need to have the title pasted here too. This here, Chandler Police ECC upgrades this 911 emergency response. This is your excerpt. So I would recommend deleting this from the body of your blog post and then leaving just this. I'm going to accept this and make it go away. Your news. I feel like this is a huge social proof, and I would love to see this much more present on your homepage. You have quotes from the news here, but having these news reports or these photos here, it's very, very strong. And I would recommend almost having this section, a lot of it, on your homepage. And again, below this, see if you can have that form to contact you. And then here's request a demo on the contact us form. So overall, I think you're off to a really good start. I've gone through and pointed out a lot of things. This is already much better than many startup sites that I've seen. I've worked in a lot of startup websites. You're off to a very, very good start. Everything is excellent. However, I do recommend changing the visual hierarchy here, as I did earlier in the video. I recommend getting rid of this. I don't see a lot of value in it. And I recommend, updating the animation speeds, going through, following the suggestions that I've made in this video. And then if you want me to take another look afterwards, that's fine. But overall, really, really great start. And now we're just going to push it over the edge and make it even more effective for your audience.